Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to put together a video to talk about the man that is about to come into the White House. His name, it needs no introduction, is Donald Trump, or Donald Pump as we used to call him when he was last president, based on him coming out with some absolutely crazy tweets that would get huge engagement and would literally send the market all over the place, usually to the upside. We know he's going to want to come in. He's going to want to pump the stock market up. He's going to want to pump up the economy. He also might be wanting to pump our crypto bags as well, especially if you are holding cryptos. Is probably, well, for me, it is a very exciting time to watch what is about to happen over the next few days and weeks. So, obviously, the inauguration is going to be on Monday. Right now, I'm putting this together on Thursday. So, we've got just a few short days until the big man takes the office, the orange man himself, as some prefer to know him as. But yes, I really wanted to put together a video and talk about what are the trade options, what are the ideas, what are the ways that we could potentially look to profit out of Donald Trump taking the White House. What should we be expecting over the next couple of months? And I want to share really my thesis around a couple of trade ideas on this video. So if that sounds something like you're interested in, please do smash the like, hit subscribe if not done so already, and keep on watching. And let me jump onto screen share and get straight into the analysis. So here we go. Obviously, here we have Bitcoin. So really, let's start off with the first idea is right in front of you. It is just buy Bitcoin. Donald Trump has said in his own words, he is the crypto president. He's going to be your crypto president, our crypto president. And he seems to like Bitcoin quite a bit. The orange man seems to like the orange coin. And he has talked about the possibility, well, not even talked about the possibility, he has emphatically mentioned a Bitcoin strategic reserve, the US government to sell no more Bitcoin and turn the Bitcoin they currently hold into a strategic reserve. Obviously, there is speculation that they might actually go out and purchase Bitcoin to build up this Bitcoin strategic reserve. So this is very interesting. What is even more interesting is that where's the tweet that I want? Is that he's now apparently considering a US based crypto reserve. So not just a Bitcoin reserve, but a crypto reserve, potentially prioritizing coins like Solana and XRP. So this is not only bullish for Bitcoin, but it's extremely bullish for both Solana and for XRP. Obviously, one of those two I'm a lot more bullish on the other on than the other. So I will actually also be making another sort of recommendation alongside Bitcoin. Actually, a few recommendations alongside Bitcoin. Obviously, the other tweet I did look at is that Trump allegedly plans to sign to sign executive orders promoting cryptocurrency and AI innovation on his first day in office. So orders for crypto on day one, as soon as Monday of next week. This is really bullish stuff for the crypto market. We've never been in this situation where we've actually seen a pro crypto administration in the largest government, or certainly the government overseeing the largest market in the world, being the US, coming in and talking about crypto, for crypto to get so much political attention and positive political attention, which is a massive reversal from what we had under the previous administration under Joe Biden. So this is all music to our ears if you're in crypto, but what is going to be the best way to profit from this? So of course, Bitcoin, to take a long position or to purchase Bitcoin from here, I think is a really smart move. I can see Bitcoin running onto much higher prices over the next few months. I think 120,000 looks like almost a definite for me. 120, maybe as high as 130,000 potentially by the end of the third quarter, by the end of March, I think is one prediction I'm very, very comfortable to make here. We're seeing really strong price action. Bitcoin has always been considered a risk asset, but we've seen it hold up remarkably well despite a lot of headwinds and a lot of uncertainty and a lot of panic coming from the fact that interest rates are still fairly elevated, and we've seen an uptick in the US economy when it comes to inflation and also jobs data. So traders are starting to reprice the number of rate cuts that are going to happen this year. And they're now starting to say, well, we thought we were going to get maybe two, maybe three. Now it's looking like we might get one, potentially even none. However, over the last day, we have had, it's not this one, it's this one. We have had Fed's wallet says 3 to 4 rate cuts possible in 2025 if CPI trends lower. So again, we've had the complete scare in this market, and now we've got Fed chairs coming out and talking about more rate cuts. When we were previously, there were stories last week where Bank of America had come out and said no rate cuts, and now we're hearing 3 to 4 rate cuts. So it really does depend on the data, and you've got to think with the dollar being at very much elevated levels here. It's been on a complete tear since the end of September. I mean, just to go from low to high, the dollar here is up pretty much 10%, which is a huge move on a currency index. So dollar is 10% stronger, and Trump is absolutely going to want to bring this down. Now, obviously, it's not the first time Trump's coming into office. We have seen Donald Trump in office before, and this was back at the start of 2017. So if we just go back and we look at what the dollar had done at the start of 2017, we can see that Trump took office around here, around the third week of 2017, in the middle of the month. And we can see that since then, the dollar was pretty much down only. So, indeed, from around when he took office, we can see that the dollar fell around about 13.5% over the course of 1 year, which is absolutely huge. Again, these are huge moves in currency pairs. Like I say, usually the ebb and flow of the currency markets dictates that we don't see such dramatic moves. But we saw obviously a huge run up there. Obviously, we had a very, very big run up sort of following sort of the COVID relief when the Fed talked about obviously tightening. They started to then sort of stop raising interest rates obviously coming down, and the dollar falling as well. And now we are at a stage where obviously we are on the verge of potentially another cutting cycle and getting some more QE, more quantitative easing coming back into the market. This is when the Federal Reserve looks to actually add balances, add assets onto its balance sheet as opposed to taking assets off. So what I'm trying to say is I am expecting the dollar to come down. Bond yields have gone very, very high as well. I'm expecting bond yields to fall as the dollar falls, as interest rates likely fall over the next few months. I think these are all things we can expect from Trump coming in as president. And no, he can't directly influence interest rates himself. That is the job of the Federal Reserve. That is the monetary policy. However, he can create fiscal policy. He can, sort of obviously talks about setting tariffs. He is in control of the tariffs. He's also going to be in control of any fiscal spending. So if he wanted to reduce the value of the dollar, he could look to spend more dollars initially, which would boost the economy, which would lower the strength of the dollar. And I think it's this one here where he's already started to get involved by saying by saying that there will be more gradual Trump tariffs, which has caused the dollar to cool a bit. So obviously, with comments like that, he can also influence the dollar. So, and I know last time he came in 2017, he said the dollar was too strong. we need a weaker dollar, and the dollar did start to come down. So potentially he's going to say something like that again when he gets into office, which I think is why the dollar is starting to reverse here. And if we just go onto the 5 day, we can see that is a almost like a picture perfect shooting star reversal. This will be confirming on any close below 108.6. So I just want to actually place that on here. So if we get a close on this next 5 day candle, and obviously it's recently, only very recently started. I don't know why that's saying 7 days, but it's only recently printed, I believe. So let's see where we go from here and see if we do actually start to get closes below this 108.6 level. And that could signal at least a temporary top in for the dollar. And with Trump coming in and everything I've just talked about, maybe this ends up being a major high and we actually reverse from there. So obviously, in terms of sort of trading this, in terms of trade ideas, one thing I did touch upon already was Bitcoin. So I like Bitcoin as a long here. I do think Bitcoin likely makes its way up towards this box up here, which I've got around about 115, $116 over the next couple of months with Trump coming in. If we just sort of go over to where was it? Chart I had at the start of the stream, we can see it's pretty clearly defined in terms of our support and resistance. And if we actually draw on a Fibonacci retracement and just look at our extension target for this, we've got it coming in at 120,000. That's the 1.618. And from there, we will actually go up to 139,000, which is the 2.618. So there's some pretty sort of extended targets there for Bitcoin. And look, I think without any shadow of a doubt, if things do play out how I expect them to, then I really do think we will see this 120,000 hit probably by the end of March, end of Q1. That is my short-term target. So look, that's one potential idea. The other ideas I'm going to also discuss now, and the first one of those ideas is Ethereum. So we have seen that Donald Trump's own DeFi project, his own crypto project, World Liberty Financial, have been accumulating Ethereum. They bought another $100 million worth of Ethereum just a couple of days ago. And look, I think it seems to me like Ethereum is definitely lagging the rest of the crypto space this cycle, certainly in terms of being a crypto major and comparing Ethereum to Bitcoin, Solana, Pepe, even XRP now, Ethereum is significantly lagging. And let's not forget, Ethereum has its own spot ETF, fully approved. And as we've seen with Bitcoin, this has created a perpetual bid for Bitcoin where even though we're getting some big red days, some big selling days, whenever the market sells off aggressively in the ETF, these are fully being consumed by the inflow days. The inflows are massively outstripping all of the outflows. And it's a similar story on Ethereum. And I can only think that at some point, once Ethereum starts to flip bullish and gets back above 4,000, we will really, really see the power of those ETFs come into fruition on Ethereum. And I personally am expecting Ethereum to trade all the way up to I've got my targets on here in terms of being these Fibonacci extensions, but I'm really thinking we can go all the way up here to around 7,331, which is our 0.618 Fibonacci extension. So whereas Bitcoin, and I'm thinking this probably comes in also by the end of Q1. So whereas Bitcoin, we're looking at potentially another sort of 20 to 40% of upside from current prices. If we look at Ethereum and where it could go from current prices, we're looking at a potential 120% upside to get to my first major target. And I've documented this already on the channel, but I've talked about Ethereum, how its best quarter tends to be Q1 of every year, especially Q1 following Bitcoin's halving year. So we saw Ethereum have a massive Q1 in 2021. I'm expecting Ethereum to have a huge quarter one in 2025. It's come off to a slow start, but I really think the trend starts to turn around very, very quickly for Ethereum. And we can see this market move up and mark up very, very aggressively, very quickly indeed. If we just go back here, talking about sort of 2021, early 2021, we've got it here on this chart. If we just take the low from, where were we? If we just take the low from January and we go up to the high in, obviously we want to just look at Q1. So we're going to look at the high in March, which is at the end of March. So it's basically coming in here. Then we can see we did 142%. Obviously, that's not all we did because we went much, much higher throughout the next quarter as well. And actually, we topped out in May. So we topped out in May after a 384% move. So, I mean, is it completely out of the question that Ethereum is going to do a, just trying to get current price on here. Is it out of the question that Ethereum is going to do a 120% move over the next sort of 3 to 6 months? I really, really don't think so. I think, like I say, we could be up here as soon as March. Maybe it goes into April, maybe it goes into May, as we did in the last bull run, and we see a massive sort of blow off, a massive parabola up to, and maybe we come up and connect with this trend line. I mean, if we were to hit this trend line out in say for example, sort of April or May time, you're looking at around about 8,000. So I think Ethereum is definitely possible of doing that over the next few months, and that's why for me, outside of Bitcoin, Ethereum would be my major play. My next major play and major idea is Solana. So obviously, I've just looked at the fact that Donald Trump is considering a US reserve with Solana included into it. And this is just absolutely bullish for the price of Solana. Solana has already proven to be one of the most bullish, if not the most bullish major so far this cycle. It's gone from a low price of just over $8 all the way up to 263, $265. And I'm now personally thinking that Solana will break above these all-time highs over the next few months and likely makes a run up to around 417, between 417 and 427. Let's call it 420. There's a nice number for you. And look, in terms of the cycle, I think we can come up probably to between sort of 570 and 600, potentially as high as 680. If things get really crazy, maybe we've got targets here all the way up into four figures. But let's try and keep our feet on the ground for now. Obviously, a move from here up to around 420 would be a decent 100% move. I can absolutely see Solana doing a 2x from these prices, as I can, with Ethereum doing a 2x from these prices. I think both Solana and Ethereum offer really, really good risk returns from here. Obviously, we found support. I do expect these lows that we made earlier this week to hold. And now, really, for me, is the time to be looking to position in on these trade ideas. I think like the setup is, it's just right in front of your face. For me, this is so obvious. This is so clear. And I really think these trades, these ideas will play out over the next few weeks and months. So they're my two big ideas to play this. It's going to be Ethereum. It's going to be Solana. I also have a altcoin pick for you as well. And this is another coin that World Liberty have interacted with. It's also a stable coin project and it's called Ethena. And what I like about Ethena is we've got this beautiful cup formation, and potentially we're now working on a candle. So we're looking at potentially a cup and handle chart formation occurring on Ethena. We've also had a pullback just below 50% of the swing low to swing high, which is a personal target for me to take a position. So I have been positioning in on Ethena here, and I do really think that Ethena has a lot higher to go. If we actually grab ourselves a target, we can look at the Fibonacci extension based on this pullback, and we've got a target here at 1.69. Obviously, right now we're at zero point 0.9, so that's around about 70% move from current prices, I believe. No, it's about 80, 85%. But Athena, with being a new cryptocurrency and being obviously a smaller market cap than the two majors I've just talked about, I really think Athena could see much, much higher multiples this cycle. And I'm personally thinking we could get as high as the 3.618, maybe the 4.618, all the way up at $3.50. And obviously, if we were to get all the way up there, then that would represent a 280% move on Athena. So Athena's one I really like. I think it's one of the strongest cryptocurrencies around at the moment, and also completely ties in on the Trump narrative. So that is three crypto picks for you. I've got two more bonus picks here, and one of those is actually going to be a trade I've already talked about. It's actually the dollar. So I do expect the dollar to come down. I think the dollar is a fairly decent short. I'm not in the business of trading currencies, but I really do think over the next few months we will see the dollar come back down to around 105, potentially coming back down to these lows here. If we can sort of confirm this is a deviation above this range and find acceptance back below sort of 107 and 106, then potentially we should run all the way back down to the low side of this range. And under Donald Trump, well, we saw what happened last time when he came in. He pretty much gave us like a 12 or 13% fall in the dollar. A 10% fall would take us down to around about sort of 98 on the dollar, on the DXY. I think this is definitely possible. So I also like short on the dollar. And the other one, obviously, we've talked about the dollar coming down, potentially interest rates coming down, which will put pressure on yields to come down. If you want something a little bit different, and I don't usually talk about bonds on this channel, but you can also look at taking along on the iShares 20-year Treasury bond ETF, which is known as the TLT. We are currently seeing a bullish engulfing candle on the weekly chart, obviously engulfing last week's sell-off. And I think we are just at a really, really critical level. If we actually go back and look at the history of the TLT, we can go all the way back, literally over the last decade, and you can see we are at historically very low prices, areas that have held as major support in the past. We've obviously wicked down to these lows here. We've seen a bounce, we're coming back in. And I just think this is an excellent long here. Obviously, this was the start of QE. This was the start of really easy money printing and low interest rates. And if you think that we're going to go back to easy money printing and low interest rates, which I do believe will happen once we start to see inflation sort of tick down. Obviously, as the Fed chair Waller, we already sort of saw what he'd said about this. Obviously, it is really dependent on inflation starting to cool. But if inflation does start to cool, and I've talked about already, obviously the dollar being high, but just remember with the dollar, when you have a very strong dollar, it makes exports from the US more expensive and it makes imports cheaper. So obviously, if there's cheaper imports cheaper cost of materials, less incentive for suppliers to increase prices because, of course, their production costs are going lower. So, if anything, they're not going to be increasing the prices of their products, their goods, their services, but exports are going to be more expensive. So there's going to be less demand for actual US produced goods, certainly in the short term, with the dollar being very inflated. So, what I'm trying to say is this, as a blessing in disguise, should actually put pressure on inflation to come down. And, it's funny how the markets, they pretty much balance out. They kind of go through these sort of oscillating patterns. You get periods where sort of the dollar pops up and it comes down again just because it's not sustainable. And I don't think that the dollar at its current levels is going to be sustained for too long. I do expect the dollar to drop. I do expect inflation to drop. And I do expect there to be some more rate cuts over the next year, which of course will put pressure on yields, and the yields and the prices of bonds are inverted. So I would expect bonds probably to tick up over the next few weeks and months. So that's a little bonus trade for you. Anybody that's a traditional trader out there can also look at potentially taking a dollar short or a bond long. But for me, and obviously the main ideas, the main way to profit from this trade, I really think is going to be long Ethereum, long Solana. Obviously, goes without saying, long Bitcoin. If you want something a little bit more out there with potentially higher upside, you can look at doing a long on Athena and, like I say, long bonds, short dollar as a couple of bonus plays. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Hopefully, you've enjoyed that one. Obviously, something a little bit different today, but I did want to really talk about Trump coming in and what my main ideas are. I've shared those ideas with you on this stream. So if you agree with those ideas, do let me know in the comments. If actually you disagree, or if there's other plays, if there's other picks, there's other Trump picks that I've maybe forgotten about or missed out on this video, and you want to mention those in the comments, please do comment, please do engage. Don't be afraid or shy to ask any questions, or give your own thoughts. And yeah, that's I'm going to leave it there. So thanks a lot for watching. Have a wonderful rest of the day or evening, wherever you are, and talk to you all again soon. Bye for now.